What is up, everybody? Jordan here with the Deck Box, coming back to you with yet another Forbidden Light new deck coming from this set. As I mentioned in our last video, we're just a few weeks out from that. Really looking forward to that. If you haven't already done some sort of pre-ordering for the set, I would highly suggest it. A lot of really good cards coming out of the set. I feel like there's going to be a lot of decks coming out of it that are really going to be worth your while. And if I could, I would like to suggest that you go to deaddrawgaming.com. Check them out. They have tons of awesome singles. They have old cards, new cards. They're doing pre-orders for the new set, so you need to get in there soon. I think they're kind of filling up on their pre-orders right now, but then of course once the set drops, I'm sure they will have more singles available, and of course you can get your boxes through them as well. So please be sure to go check them out. I know they really appreciate that. But without further ado, we are going to get into today's list. I'd like to look at Buzzwole Naganadel today. I'm really excited about this new card that came from the set. I'm not going to tell you too much about it until we get into the profile, but I think it's going to be a good way to add Psychic back into Buzzwole as opposed to using something like a Mew or even a Mewtwo. So I'm really excited. Let's hop right in here. So looking at our lines, we do run 4 Buzzwole. This is a very heavy Buzzwole list, and obviously we all pretty much know what Buzzwole does at this point. Jet Punch, hit the active for 30, hit the bench for 30. Really solid for some setups there, and it's a great early attack, just to strap on 1 energy and move from there. And of course we do have strong energies. We have beast energy now that adds an additional 30 damage, so it can kind of be boosted from there, plus choice band. It just keeps ramping up, so that attack can really get out of hand really fast, which is really nice for the Buzzwole player. Then of course Knuckle Impact, 160 damage. This Pokemon can't use this attack during your next turn. And then Absorption GX, 40 damage for each prize card that you have remaining. So potentially 240, 270 with a choice band, 300 with a beast energy, 320 with a strong energy. Like, it can just really ramp up. And then of course it goes down from there as you take prizes. Next, we are going to be looking at our Naganadel line. It is a 3-3, and we'll start by talking about Poipole. That's that little cute alien guy there in the middle. By far my favorite Ultra Beast. Aside from like Buzzwole, I think, and of course the different Necrozmas, those are Ultra Beasts now, I guess. But the other Ultra Beasts, aside from Buzzwole, I think most of them just look kind of dumb, and Poipole just really looks cool. I really like Poipole. But anyway, looking at him for a colorless energy, spit poison. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now poisoned. Not too bad. I mean, you can poison your opponent. That's always a good thing. Add a little bit of extra damage there. And then the second attack, Corpse Remover for a Psychic and a colorless, or Corpse Reviver, sorry. If this Pokemon is knocked out during your opponent's next turn, your opponent does not take a prize card. So this is really great if you're having a bad setup, but you're able to get a couple energy on this active guy. You can use that attack, just kind of spam it over and over until you get knocked out, and then they don't take a prize. That would be really nice until you can finally set things up. And I know that's like worst case scenario. It means you're really not having a good game, but sometimes that happens, and this could definitely help you out. Plus, having that 70 HP is always nice. A lot of basics have around 60 to 80. There's a small pocket in the middle with 70, and if they have that 70, it's always really nice. Then looking at the big boy, Naganadel, I guess he has kind of like a stinger too, like Buzzwole, so it's like a giant mosquito deck. But anyway, it's a Psychic Pokemon, 210 HP. It evolves from Poipole. First attack, Beast Ride. This will kind of be the focus of what we're going to be doing here with the deck, is using Beast Ride. Does 20 times damage. This attack does 20 damage for each Ultra Beast you have in play. The core of the deck, in fact, the majority of the deck, I think, besides Lele, is Ultra Beast. We want our bench to be filled with Ultra Beast because this focuses on that. So you're going to have Naganadel in the active, so that's 1 Ultra Beast, and then we'll say 3 to 4 on the bench. So that's 4 to 5. So you're swinging for 80 to 100, choice band 110 to 140, or 110 to 130 rather. And then we'll say your 5th slot on the bench is a Lele. But that 110 to 130 is perfect because what we're wanting to do now is we need to be able to one-shot Buzzwoles, and we need to be able to one-shot Lucarios. And so the reason I think that Naganadel will be a much better option from something like Mew from Fates Collide, or even Mewtwo is that a couple things. One, Mew, you have to throw on 3 energy to this little 50 HP Pokemon that's probably not going to survive it. And if you manage to get it off, great, but then it's going to be knocked out immediately by the weakest thing possible. Mewtwo is a little bit better as far as HP goes, but you have to attach a DCE, and Buzzwole, of course, does not really run DCE, so that's kind of the first thing. You don't have to use DCE. I know you can use 2 basics, but the point of Mewtwo rather, is that it's a quick laydown and attach a DCE and swing. But then it's based on the amount of energy your opponent has attached to them. The biggest downside of that is your opponent is not always going to have, sometimes they will have no energy on them, sometimes they'll just have 1 or 2, and that's not enough for the one-shot. We really want to be one-shotting other Buzzwoles, and now we also have to deal with Lucario, which also is a fast setting up stage 1 Pokemon. So with Naganadel, hitting those numbers I was talking about, 110 with a Choice Band, 130, potentially even more if we actually have all 6 Pokemon in play as Ultra Beasts, which we'll say that happens at points. So you're at 120, and then 150 with a Choice Band. If you have it as the Beast Energy attached, it's 180. So it's just really, really good. You're hitting these nice, solid numbers. And so I feel like Naganadel is much better. You get to evolve just real quick, and you attach 1 energy, and you're done. You're swinging for that consistently. You're not dependent on your opponent's board state. You're only dependent on your board state, and you only have to attach 1 energy. So that's why I think Naganadel is a much better option than Mewtwo or Mew. So I digress. We'll move on to the next attack. For Psychic, double colorless, Jet Tackle, 110 damage. This attack's damage isn't affected by resistance. And then 3 colorless, Stinger GX. Each player shuffles their prize cards into their deck. Then each player takes 3 cards from the top of their deck and puts them face down as their prize cards. So the second attack is, not that big of a deal if you're using the first attack correctly. Like if your bench is all set up, then it really doesn't matter if you have that second attack, because you're most likely not going to be using it in whatever situation you're in. The third attack is really, really cool. Being able to just completely change the game state in 1 quick move is really nice. Potentially you could still be at 6 prizes. I mean, you could be having a horrible game, your opponent's got 1 prize left, you finally start getting things set up, and you can use this GX attack and even it up. 3 prizes apiece. They've already expended their resources, you still have plenty of resources left, and you can completely sway the game. So I think this GX attack is really, really solid. But now that we're done with those guys, we're going to move on to the second slide. And we're going to be looking at the other Buzzwole that just came out in Forbidden Light. And basically what it does, that first attack for 1 fighting, you're swinging for 30 damage. If your opponent has 4 prize cards remaining, you're swinging for additional 90. So you're up to 120, 150 with a Choice Band, 180 if you use the Beast Energy. So really solid numbers building up off just that 1 little tiny hit. And then 80 damage for the next attack, and I believe you do an additional 40 for each heads that you flip. I think you flip 2 coins. Let me double check that. I should know this, I've read the card 1,000 times. Yeah, flip 2 coins. This attack does 20 more damage for each of them, which of course we wouldn't need either of the coin flips if we just had a Choice Band attached, and you can one-shot a Zoroark with that. So really, really solid card. And then of course Tapu Lele GX to be able to get us our supporters. So real quick, I want you to note that we do run 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so 8, 9 potential Ultra Beasts to get out. I didn't count Naganadel because that will go on top of the Poipoles. So 9 potential Ultra Beasts, potential to fill up with 6. So I think you should have a pretty decent time. We do play recovery cards to get these guys back if we lose them. So I think you'll pretty fairly have your bench filled up with these, and they're all Ultra Beasts aside from Tapu Lele, so you won't have to worry about, oh, should I play this down, should I not play this down? It's like, no, they're all Ultra Beasts. And of course, the one thing that can really hurt you is someone playing down a Parallel City, shrinking you up. Only 3 on the bench, 1 in the active, so that's still 80. That's not bad. And then the Choice Band's 110, so that will be one-shotting your Lucarios and your Buzzwoles. So still, you're in an okay spot. It could just potentially slow you down. Alright, next we're looking at our draw supporters. We're running the 3 Cynthia, 2 N, 2 Sycamore, and 1 Lily. So what is that? 8 draw supporters. Pretty solid. Obviously we're not, in this one we're not really focused on Bridget's, and I'll explain that why in a little bit. So we do play the 1 Lily so that we can draw through our deck a little bit more to progress the game state. But these 8 draw supporters should really help us in our matches. Then from there, our other supporters, really just 3 Guzmas. We want to be able to take down some solid knockouts. So we don't want our opponent to try to hide his psychic weak Pokemon on the other side of the field. We want to be able to Guzma them up and knock them out easily with Naganadel. We don't want our opponent to hide his Zoroarks. We want Buzzwole to be able to get up there and do its thing. So that's why we play these. We want to be taking as many prizes off these Guzmas as we possibly can. From there, we are looking at some of our items. We have 4 Ultra Ball, pretty standard. We're going to be searching through our deck to find all of our Pokemon in this list. Ultra Ball helps with that quite a bit. We can dump cards that we don't think we'll need, etc., etc. And then from there, we do run 4 Max Elixir. We're trying to get as much energy onto our Buzzwoles as possible. Of course, that's going to help him to attack. 3 energy cost is pretty steep, so we have to get that on there quickly. If we want to, we can also set up some Poipoles so that they're ready to, once they become Naganadels, they're just ready to attack. And then, of course, we are running the new B-String card. What this allows you to do is if you have 3 or 4 energy, or 3 or 4 prizes left, excuse me, then you are able to go straight into your. Let me read this. No, when your opponent has 3 or 4 cards, I had to read that correctly. When your opponent has 3 or 4 cards remaining, you get to go into your deck, search for 2 energy cards, and attach them to your Ultra Beast in any way you like. That's amazing. That's essentially a Max Elixir, but it's a guaranteed hit, and it's double. Now, I know you do have to rely on your opponent having 3 or 4 prize cards remaining. However, there is no way for them to get around that unless they're playing some Ultra Spread deck that can take 3 or more prizes in one turn and avoid those 2. But typically, you're not going to deal with that. You're going to deal with someone taking 2 prizes, they're at 4, and then maybe taking 1 prize, and they're down to 3. So basically, as your opponent starts to have a little bit better of a game, you then get to play this down and do even better. I've chosen to only play 2 for a few reasons. One, well, I've chosen to play 2, like at least 2, because I'd like to have the opportunity to do this more than once, and you potentially can do that. You could do it all in the same turn, attach 4 energies in one turn. You could just, you need the opportunity to draw into it. You're not always going to have one in your hand, so you want to make sure you hit that. But I only chose to play 2 because if playing 3 or 4, eventually I feel like they'd be dead cards, because them having 3 or 4 prizes remaining is not going to last the whole game. It's going to, you know, it'll dwindle, or they might have a bad start, and so these might not get used because they're just stuck at 5 or 6 prizes for a while. But I think 2 is a nice, solid count for now. It's going to be something that people experiment with over the course of time. But this is a really amazing card, and it just fits perfectly into this deck. Moving on from there, looking at some more supporting item cards. Super rad, of course, we are getting back our energy, which are very important in this deck, with Buzzwole having such a high cost, and of course getting back our Pokemon. And so depending on how our game is going, we'll pull back one of those 2, whichever is more important to us. You know, if we really need our Ultra Beast because we're playing against a psychic weak deck, and we want Naganadel to be hitting for those solid numbers, we'll pull back our Pokemon. If we're short on energy, we'll pull back energy. Just depends on your situation. Then we do play 1 Field Blower. I only chose to play 1 because the only abilities we have in the deck are Tapu Lele, and we're typically going to be using that early. So it's not a big deal to us if they shut down our abilities. Really what this is for is more to dump their stadiums if for some reason we don't have one to deal with it. And of course to get rid of, you know, Fury Belts to take easier knockouts, Choice Bands so we don't get knocked out so easily, and then yeah, occasionally we'll want to get rid of a Float Zone on a Garbodor so that we can use a Lele late game. It's just lots of options for us with this 1 Field Blower. And then for the special charge, we are running Strong Energy, and so we want to be able to get those back whenever we need them. From there, our tool cards, we run 3 Choice Band, One float stone, pretty self-explanatory as to why we run these. We want to hit the solid numbers with choice band. Float stone, we don't want to get something stuck in the active that we don't want there, such as a Lele, or maybe we have a Buzzwole up there with no energy and it's just kind of a dead card sitting there. That's what the float stone is there for. And then we do run 3 Ultra Space, and this is really awesome. It's like Brooklet Hill, but it's for Ultra Beast. But even more than that, it's not just for basic Ultra Beasts, it's for any Ultra Beast, so it can search out our Naganadels, our Poiples, both of our Buzzwoles, really solid. And the better thing is, we don't have to put it onto our bench. We can put it into our hand. Obviously, can't put it on our bench if it's a stage 1, but for the basics, they can go into our hand. They don't have to go to our bench. So if we need to just thin up our deck, we can just get some Pokemon out of our our deck, and then guarantee that we're going to draw something a little bit more later in the game. And then looking at energies here, we do run 10 fighting energy. We are wanting to hit our max elixirs, of course. We need to make sure to have enough energy to fuel 2 different Pokemon. And then from there, we do run 4 strong energy. The strong energy, of course, is for the Buzzwoles. We want them to hit really, really solid numbers, and that strong energy, adding the additional 20 damage, just really kind of puts them over the edge. So that really helps, especially with that just little tiny basic Buzzwole to be, or the single prize Buzzwole, I guess, to do 50 damage with that first one, with or without your opponent having 4 prizes. 50 damage is still pretty solid on a Pokemon like that. So the strong energy is very, very helpful. And then, of course, the new Beast Energy Prism Star that we have out. If you don't know what that does, it's basically a rainbow energy for Ultra Beast, but you don't take 10 damage from it. And in addition to that, you do another 30 damage to all your or to any of your opponent's Pokemon. So it's not just like Choice Band where it's EX or GX. It just does 30 damage to the active Pokemon in addition to whatever you're doing. So that can really add up, especially when you pair it with Choice Band. So you have that energy in Choice Band, you're looking at an additional 60 damage, and things just kind of ramp up from there. So I think the energy counts are pretty solid for the list. I wouldn't really mess with those too much. But anyway, guys, here is the final list for you. If you want to kind of copy and paste that, go for it. Have some fun with the list. Let me know if you've been trying out Naganadel much. That was kind of the new part of this list. Was throwing Naganadel out there. I have kind of toyed with doing like another Ultra Beast list. This is obviously an Ultra Beast list, but what I mean is like including some of the other ones like Celesteela and things like that. But I'm trying to find out, and kind of work with the best counts for everything and figure out, is this a feasible thing? Because I mean, Naganadel pretty much reads like, hey, you need to throw this into an Ultra Beast deck to kind of help you out. And I want to try to make like an Ultra Beast toolbox, but I'm not sure that we have the right Ultra Beast at the moment. But I'll be tweaking with those a little bit over the course of time. So, guys, thank you so much for watching the video. I really hope that you have enjoyed it. Please be sure to go check out some of my other deck lists that I put out this past week for the Forbidden Light set, and then obviously this next week. Man, I'm planning on probably at least another 4 or 5 deck lists coming out from this set before the set drops, and then of course we'll be hopping on PTCGO in a couple weeks and playing through some matches with these. So again, thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like. I'd really, really appreciate that. And as usual, I have been Jordan with the Deck Box, where I want to know what's in your box. Have a great day, guys.